Welcome, sir.
So thank you, Mr. Thompson, for your great introduction, and good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all of you. And today is a great pleasure to me to be here and to show you my presentation about the solutions we implemented by exploiting the additive manufacturing technologies in developing our wearable technologies for monitoring human biophysical science, and we developed these technologies in our Center for Biomolecular Nanotechnologies of Istituto Italiano di Tecnologia from Italy. And today I would like to give you in my presentation a short introduction of the Istituto Italiano di Tecnologia network before moving to the technology we develop in our center, in our CBN center, regarding the application of sensoring and monitoring of human body, human physiological science, and which are the enabled solution allowed by DragonFly LDM 2.0. So IIT is a private organization that revolves around the Central Research Laboratories in Genova, where we have our headquarters, and a wider network of centers based with a relevant academic institution all around Italy. Currently, IIT boasts on 11 centers throughout Italy, and especially the Center for Biomolecular Nanotechnologies that is located in a small city in the south of Italy is based on Università del Salento, and is in this center where we develop our technologies, our wearable technologies. Moreover, IIT boasts also on 2 outstations in USA, where we collaborate with MIT for building algorithmic tools for the analysis of complex system and high-dimensional data, and with Harvard developing technologies for experimental neuroscience, advanced neural computation, and translational neuroscience. So in our center, we develop technologies in order to build some closed-loop healthcare systems that rely on different technologies enabling body sensing, in example, exploding physical sensor, optical sensor, biochemical sensor, and electrical sensor in order to monitor different physiological parameters, human parameters, such as heartbeat variation, respiration, sweat, swallowing, and so on, but also body control allowed by the same mechanism, actuator based on the same mechanisms, electrical, optical, biochemical, or physical mechanisms, in order to provide also stimuli to muscle or brain to perform drug delivery, and on data management that is used mainly to provide a continuous monitoring of the healthcare status of people in order to provide real-time diagnosis and help, in example, the physician to provide the right therapies. So what I'd like to show you today are some of our main technologies developed in our center that are mainly based on implantable probes for the monitoring and for monitoring the stimuli of the neural brain activities. They are based also on smart patches that we used to monitor physiological physiological parameters such as heartbeat variation or respiration rate, and what we use as communication tools based mainly on wearable antennas. Going deep in detail, we developed three different kind of sensor that allows to perform body sensing, body control, and data management. And especially the body sensing is possible by exploiting a sensor using direct piezoelectric effect. Or photometry. In terms of body control, again, we developed piezoelectric ultrasonic transducers exploiting inverse piezoelectric effect, and the data management that is mainly based on antennas built on very thin and flexible polymeric materials such as the polyethylene and naphthalene. So the first application I would like to show you today is our piezoelectric chitosan-based piezoelectric transducers that we fabricate, exploiting also the silver ink of the DragonFly LDM 2.0 in order to have a final transducer that is fully biocompatible. So the fabrication process of this flag-shaped sensor starts with the deposition and the printing of the nano ink based bottom electrode exploiting the DragonFly LDM 2.0. This electrode whose thickness is 1 micrometer is deposited, is printed directly on glass substrate. And it is covered by an interlayer made of pMUT PSS by spin coating. This material this interlayer is used because it acts as addition promoter between the nano ink based electrode and the chitosan film deposited on. The deposition of chitosan film is directly on the bottom electrode when the film is still wet. After that, the sample, the sensor is put in at room temperature in order to dry the sample before depositing the top gold electrode by exploding polyimide mask and an e-beam evaporation, and connecting it with a standard wiring connection. The last step of the process consists in conformal coating of the sensor by polymeric pyrrolene C layer that allows to make the final sensor completely isolated, electrically isolated, and waterproof. So the critical point of this process is the detachment of the sensor from the glass substrate. But thanks to the great addition between the pMUT PSS interlayer and the chitosan and the silver ink deposited by the DragonFly LDM 2.0, the sensor can be easily peeled off from the glass substrate, achieving a highly homogeneous sensor at the end of the process. So we tested this sensor in order to see the ability of the sensor itself in detecting some stimuli such as pressure and force. And in this case, we used the sensor in a finger tapping test by gently touching by fingers the sensor, or we tested the sensor as flow sensor by blowing and seeing which is the response, the output response of the sensor. But we also tested this sensor in an ultrasound for ultrasound applications as a receiver as detector for for incoming wave in liquid, in this case in water. But the main the critical point of this technology is the biocompatibility, because the sensor has been developed in order to be used in direct contact with the tissue, the human tissue. So for this reason, it needs to be completely and fully biocompatible. For these reasons, we tested our devices in order to see the biocompatibility of all the material used for the sensor, for the fabrication of the sensor. We know for sure that chitosan film and PDOT PSS, as well as the gold and the Pyrene C are all biocompatible materials. But what about the silver ink deposited by DragonFly LTM 2.0? In order, so we tested the biocompatibility also of the silver ink by preparing different samples, in this case 5 samples, including all the material used for the sensor. And the biocompatibility test, we performed this biocompatibility test in order to assess the metabolic activity of the cells in cellular medium when we put inside also our fabricated samples, and some tests of absorbance of the cellular medium. The metabolic activity of the cells has been tested by a colorimetric assay MTT, and we put our samples inside different a series of wells containing the cellular medium, the cells, and a reagent that is the tetrazolium salt compounds. So because the cells, since the cells contain oxoreductive enzymes, the living cells can convert the reagent, the tetrazolium salt compound, in a new product that is the formazan crystals, the orange one in this picture. So by a simple visual inspection of the wells, it's possible to see if the metabolic activity of the cells is still present, and then it's possible to assess the cell viability. As you can see from the pictures, all the wells containing our sample changed the color from the pink, from the starting pink color to the orange one, and that means that the conversion made by the living cell is still present. This allows us to assess that the metabolic activities and the cells are still living. But we also tested the biocompatibility of these materials using performing an absorbance analysis of the cellular medium. From this analysis, and as reported in this plot, it's possible to see that all the samples tested after 24 hours and 72 hours show cell viability reported as a percentage of the control of the control sample that is over the 70% over the 70% that is the minimum threshold to assess that the material is cytotoxic or not. So from this test, it's possible to assess that all the samples, and especially the samples containing the silver ink printed by the DragonFly LTM 2.0 are non-cytotoxic. For this end, that means that the silver ink can be used to fabricate full biocompatible sensors. It is very important for our application. The second application I would like to show you consists in tapered neural optical fiber interfaces with multiple functions, and how we exploit DragonFly LTM 2.0 to embed and package this highly non-planar device. So the tapered neural interfaces are sensors that are devices that we use both to perform a control of the brain function, exploiting different sources such as light, acoustic wave or variation in temperature. But we can exploit the same devices also to perform a readout of the brain and a monitoring of the brain activity by reading the signal of the biopotential, the bioelectrical signal, or by an optical reading or a chemical reading of the brain activity. For this reason, in our center, we developed optogenetic activation device that use the blue light to selectively stimulate some regions of the medium depth at a medium depth of the brain, by using some optical windows all along the tapered side of the optical fiber. These windows have been opened by exploiting FIB, focus ionized beam technologies, and they are the source, the light source, both to stimulate or to monitor the neural brain response, but including some electrode, some microstructured metal electrodes along the fiber near to the optical windows, is possible also to monitor electrically the neural brain response. For these reasons, some microstructured metal electrodes have been fabricated near to the optical windows by exploiting two-photon lithography, and we use these electrodes both to monitoring the light stimulated or the normal neural response of the brain. Moreover, the big challenge here is to find a way to interface this sensor with the standard acquisition system, both electrically and optically. And DragonFly LTM 2.0 allows us to fabricate a PCB to embed these high non-planar devices. More in detail, the PCB, the three-dimensional PCB consists in a customizable PCB with an inner central recess in order to place the fiber, and especially the ferrule that is used for the light injection. It includes also some soldering pads in order to perform the connection with standard acquisition system, and the connecting pads that are used to connect the microstructured electrodes along the fiber. The limitation of this first generation of this packaging are mainly due to the gluing system of the fiber, the optical fiber inside the PCB. And in this case, the fiber was manually glued with epoxy resin, and also the connection between the connecting pads and microstructured electrodes was made by using silver paste. So it is a process that is not very clean and robust. So we improved our technology in order in designing a new second generation of the packaging, It is quite similar to the previous one, but we included also an engineered way to detach the PCB from the printing substrate in order to glue easily the fiber inside the recess, and to cover and embed the fiber with a dielectric cover. So the printing of this new PCB starts with the building of the PCB and a frame all around the PCB that is used for the next new alignment and that allows to minimize the alignment error and the misalignment. Then the PCB is detached from the substrate, from the printing substrate, and the fiber connected to the PCB by exploding just a small amount of epoxy resin just to grab the fiber to the recess. Then the PCB is again placed inside the frame with a minimum error, minimum alignment error, and after correcting the Z8 of the group heads, we printed again the second part of the PCB, printing first the conductive pads that are now directly in contact with the microstructured electrodes along the fiber, and the dielectric cover that completely embed the fiber inside the PCB, making the fiber and the full and the PCB itself more robust compared to the previous package generation. Exploiting again LDM 2.0, we also developed a different kind of PCB, again to include ion planar devices, starting from simple PCB that includes just one electrode to more complex PCB, like showed in this picture, that allows to connect at least 4 electrodes for electrodes. So we exploit then the DragonFly that enables us the packaging of highly planar and curved devices such as the optical fibers. The third application consists in self-aligned packaging of piezoelectric micromachine ultrasonic transducer. This sensor have been designed in order to emit ultrasonic wave at defined frequency, and in particular at 2 and 6 megahertz. The sensor, the piezoelectric micromachine ultrasonic transducer, consists in a number of small piezoelectric discs made of aluminum nitride embedded between 2 molybdenum electrodes, whose radius is about 100 micrometers, that are deposited on silicon substrate. Then the membranes, the small discs, are released by a deep etching of the silicon, reaching a maximum thickness of the membrane of about 25 micrometers. These sensors have been then, these devices, these transducers have been then tested first in air in order to check the working frequency and see if we got the target working frequency before moving to the packaging. So again, in this case, the big challenge is to achieve complete packaging of the pMUT probe, especially avoiding the standard wire bonding techniques for the connection, since they sometimes are have some limitations, especially when we try to perform the bonding on very thin metal layers, such as in our cases. So again, DragonFly and the additive manufacturing technologies enable us to package and then completely embed the transducer in a robust package. So the packaging and fabrication of packaging starts with the printing of the base PCB that includes, from one side, connection pads using a customizable footprint in order to adapt it to different types of connectors. And on the other side, on the opposite sides, we have an housing hole that is used to attach, to include the silicon die. Then the printing is interrupted and the silicon die is placed inside the housing hole. In this case, we change a little bit the temperature. We cool down the temperature of the printing platform up to 100-120 degrees. Starting from the 140 degrees, that is the sintering temperature of the standard sintering temperature of the silver ink, and in order to safely place the silicon die inside the housing, but also to minimize the shrinking and the swelling of the polystyrene printing substrate, and avoid in this respect the some misalignment. Before moving to the printing of the top embedding frame, again adjust and correcting the head group height according to the thickness of the printed base. So we printed the embedding frame that includes the metal stripes that directly connect the pads on silicon die up to the connection pads, and the embedding frame that encapsulate the die, the silicon die, achieving very robust final devices. As you can see from these pictures, we can print different kind of embedding PCB that allows us to build different numbers of connection, starting from the minimum of 5 or 6 connection pads up to 26 electrodes placed split on different levels with a maximum thickness of the package that is about 510 micrometers. So we tested these sensors in order to see the performance of the PCB, but also the ability of our sensor to generate ultrasound wave. And as you can see from these pictures, our sensor is able to work at the target frequency also in a liquid medium, generating ultrasound wave at a frequency of 5.6 megahertz with a bandwidth of 1 megahertz. The last application today consists in the miniaturization of 5G silver ink antennas directly deposited on flexible polyethylene naphthalate substrates. In this respect, we fabricated 2 different kinds of antennas in order to provide a tool for the communication between some of the sensors previously described and the standard and classical readout electronics. We fabricated then an evolved flexible multi-layer patch antenna that works in a sub-6 gigahertz band of the 5G standard transmission protocol, and a planar inverted F antenna that is a compact interface used to measure, to communicate during the measurement of biochemical and physiological parameters. The PIFA antenna is composed of the dielectric, the conductive ink directly printed on PEN substrate. It consists of two L-shaped regions and a ground electrodes, and we also included in the antenna a central pads that is designed in order to directly weld micro FL standard connector. Then we tested this antenna in order to see the resonating behavior, showing that the antenna is able to resonate in a dual band with the two peaks of resonant peak at 3.8 and 6.2 gigahertz. But the point I would like to stress for this application is that the antenna is very flexible, and it can then be used also on irregular and curved surfaces such as the skin, and at the same time the silver ink still remain attached to the substrate, to the PEN substrate, and keeping the antenna still working, even if it bends or if it bends. The second antenna is the evolved multi-layered patch antenna that we built by engineering the printing process. So what we did is to print directly this antenna on PEN substrate that was shaped with the same size of the printing platform, of the printing stage. Then we printed on one side of the substrate the silver ink antenna using just the silver ink of the DragonFly LTM 2.0, that is the top side of the antenna. Then we folded the substrate, we mirrored the substrate in order to print both on one side the ground electron, what you can see on the left side of this picture, and a split ring resonator that is directly aligned on the top patch antenna. Then the ground electrode is cut from the substrate, and it is attached on the bottom side of the antenna by using a very thin layer of polydimethyl siloxane layer, material that acts just as adhesion material. So we tested also again these antennas in order to see the performance in terms of transmission and radiation patterns, and as you can see from these plots, we have good agreement with the simulated antennas, with the main resonating peaks that is about 4 gigahertz. Again, we achieved a very thin antenna and a very flexible antenna, and again the silver ink still remain attached to the patch, even if it is folded or bent. So this was the last application for my presentation from my side, and I would like to thank you, all my colleagues, especially Professor Massimo De Vittorio, that is the coordinator of our Center for Biomolecular Nanotechnologies, but also Antonio Gualtieri, Gaia De Marzo, Ilaria Marasco, and Marco Bianco for the great support in most of the application I had the pleasure to show you today. And for sure, of course, I would like to thank you, all of you, for your kind attention and for your patience. So, if you have any question, please. And sorry for this small delay.
Dr. Mastronardi, thank you so very much for that fabulous presentation. Awesome work. Very impressed with all of that. There are a couple of questions that came in, and we'll save those to the end, just in the observation of time for everybody. But thanks so much for that, and congratulations to your team for again some pretty phenomenal work.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Perfect. I would appreciate just the audience if you wouldn't mind in between these two talks there at the bottom of your field is a poll, and if you wouldn't mind just answering these 3 questions for us, that'd be awesome. This just helps us figure out if we're on track and what to do moving forward and things that we offer. So there's 3 questions, and it's is this your first Nano Dimension webinar? Do you work in the field of that choice? And select where you work, and if you could do that for us, that just helps us in visibility and what to bring moving forward. So thanks so very much for that, and obviously your field of interest. So with that, we'll give you another half minute or so to fill that out. Thank you with that. So again, thank you, friend Vincenzo, for that. And we're going to now move on to Dr. Edmond Lou. And so he's the professor of electrical and computing engineering out of Alberta. So University of Alberta in Edmonton. And he has been doing some very interesting work in IoT. So with that, I think we're ready to move on to your presentation, Edmond. So pleasure to have you here today, and exciting opportunity to listen to you as well. So please feel free to take the meeting and present to the audience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. It is my honor to share my research and some experience in using the DragonFly machine this morning or this afternoon or evening. So as on the title, my presentation is IoT health monitoring platform with artificial intelligence. So I'm also one of the principal investigators at University of Alberta to bring in the artificial intelligence supercomputing hub that we have a large supercomputer cluster that help industry to develop prototype on the require supercomputing facility or the power to design or develop their prototypes. Okay, before I start, I would like to introduce where is the University of Alberta located. The U of A is located in Edmonton, and the capital city of Alberta, which is the western of Canada. In Alberta, we have one of the most beautiful national parks in the world, which is the Banff National Park, as you can see in these pictures here. And you will be able to see the Rocky Mountain, a lot of greens, and you will enjoy it if you have chance to visiting the Banff National Park. In Edmonton, there are many days you can see the blue sky, but in the winter time, you will see a lot of snow. Now, also in Edmonton, you will have a lot of chance to see the northern light. Approximately 30 nights per year, you are able to see these northern light in the dark, in the evening. So this one of the pictures that from the Edmonton Journal that posts last few years, so you can see it is very beautiful. And also I took a lot of northern lights picture as well, as I'm interest on as a photographer as well. Now I'm going to move on to talk about my research. So one of my research interests is to design the Internet of Things for medical application. Just remind you the definition of IoT are the sensor and actuator embedded in object and link the data to internet. Many of IoT systems have been developed for health monitoring. Here is a list of examples that you can use an IoT system to monitor health rate, blood pressure, etc. So according to some of the business report, the global market of medical IoT has increased 4 times in the last 5 years. They expect approximately $158 billion sales will be in 2022. So it is a large market, and you can see the growth is really, really fast. Now, one of my IoT system is designed for scoliosis research. So I have lots of application on IoT system as well. So I also have a collaboration with industry on the oil and gas industry as well. But today I just focus on one of the research that I would like to share with you is around the treatment of scoliosis. So what is scoliosis? It is a 3-dimensional spinal deformity with vertebral rotation. And 80% of the case, we have unknown causes, which called idiopathic. And approximately it affects 10% of adolescents. 2 to 3% of these patients require treatment, and most of patients require treatment are females. So brace treatment is the most commonly used non-surgical treatment for scoliosis. As you can see the picture here, the brace is like a plastic shell. It wear by the patient, and the shell tries to holding the body to become straight. As you can also see on the X-ray on the right, that you can see the curvature of the spine. When the patient wear the brace, the spine gets straightened. And however, when it finish the brace treatment, the curve become the same as before. So one of the result that we report from the literature is saying the brace treatment can only stop the curve progression. If there's any correction of scoliosis, it considered bonus. However, our team have been trying to improve the brace treatment so that it can correct scoliosis, not just to stop the curve progression. And that is why we would like to using the IoT, and I will introduce in the next few slides as well. But before we jump into that, I just want to tell you one thing. We find the effectiveness of the brace treatment depends on 4 factors. It is related to the growth or the curve risk. So if the curve is big, there's a higher risk. And also it depends on how the brace design. If the brace designed properly and you get a good in-brace correction, as you will remember on the previous slide, that if the patient wear the brace and they have a good correction, you have a higher chance to be success. Now, I want to focus on the last 2 factors, which are the brace wear quantity and the brace wear quality. What does it mean is how much time the patient wear the brace and how tight they wear also affect the effectiveness of the brace treatment. Those 2 factors also able to help the brace to help the patient using their brace treatment to correct their curvature. So In order to understand how the patient use their brace, first we develop some monitoring system to monitor how much time the patient actually use the brace and also how tight they wear the brace. So in the last 15-20 years, we've been developed some data loggers to monitor how much time and how tight the patient use his or her brace. As you can see, the technology become more advanced. The size of the data logger is become smaller and smaller. And also we're moving from a wire connections. So we need to hook up using some connector, hook up to the PC or download the data to wireless. So the latest version that we have right now is developed in 2017 that we're using the Bluetooth low energy at that time. We have a force sensor, we have a temperature sensor embedded with the micro system. So using the Bluetooth technology, sending the data to the PC, and we also install the system, as you can see in here, install the system inside the brace. So using this, we will be able to log the force that pushing to the body, and also we are able to log the temperature and to indicate if the patient actually used the brace or not. So of course, all the data will be sending to the PC and processing it, and then we will be provide the feedback to the authorities. At that time, it is a passive device. It is not provide any real feedback to the patient yet. We only try to understand how the brace been used. Now, as the technology become more advanced, we also build some analysis software that we are able to understand, okay, how much time the brace be used per day, and also how tight they wear the brace. As you can see in this example here, this patient only wear the brace very infrequently, like only few hours per day. In a normal situation, the patient is supposed to wear the brace 22 hours per day. But in this example here, we understand the patient only use the brace only few hours per day. As you can see, there's only very little force, and then you have quiet. So the and the blue line is showing the force value, and the red line is showing the temperature. So most of the time is on the room temperature, that's the patient didn't wear it, and then at 30 degrees Celsius, you can see the patient wear the brace. So we understand how much time and how they wear, and it correlates to the effectiveness of the brace treatment. Now, one of the challenges in the past is the thickness of the device, because the force sensor has certain thickness. So then in the last few years, we also developed a piezo resistivity 3D stress and MIM sensor. So it is a MIM sensor. It can measuring the 3-dimensional force in the vertical and also the stress forces, like the tensile forces and also the compressive forces. And this is the normal printed circuit board we've been using. One of the challenges is the thickness of the circuit board as well, that reduce the sensitivity of the of our sensor. So at that time, when we have the normal printed circuit board, we test our sensor with compare with the normal string gauges. We put our sensor on a circuit board, and then we develop some 4-point bending equipment that allow us to apply the load, and then we compare it with the normal strain gauges. And we find that our sensor is about at least 10 times more sensitive and better than the normal strain gauge. And at the same time, our sensor itself has built-in temperature compensation, as well as we are able to measure the temperature. So using a single chip that we are able to get all the information, and the size of the chip is 7 by 7 millimeter with the thickness only 1 millimeter. This chip, we got the US patent on it already. So we've been using this for other applications, not only for this, but today I'm only going to share on the on this specific application. But if you interest on the other characteristic of the chip, you can email me as well, or you can ask question later on that I will be try to answer for you. So this sensing chip we also use for the oil and gas industry to monitor the pipeline and for remote monitoring to prevent the leakage as well. So this is some of the results that we got. Compare the normal strain gauge with the sensing strip, and we got the same result. Like that means we got accuracy of our sensing strip is as good as the strain gauge. Of course, in here we adjust the gain of the strain gauges so that we have the same sensitivity. So we need to have a higher gain on the strain gauge compared to the strain sensor to our chip. And at the same time, because we only using a single strain gauge on the experiment, we put into the temperature chamber. We know the strain gauge will be affected by the temperature, but for our chip, we have the self-temperature compensation. So our sensor is much more stable. We are also able to compare the accuracy of the temperature measurement. Based on our experiment, we find our chip is able to measure the temperature within 1 degree Celsius. So this is pretty good on our design. Now, as I mentioned, one of the challenges on or the limitation on using the normal circuit board with our 3D sensing chip is the thickness of the circuit board. Of course, you can using some flexible circuit board on our MEMS chip, but with the nano dimension system, we are able to custom make the thickness of our circuit board. As you can see in here, the thickness of the center is thinner, and then we have a thicker size on the outside for connection. So we can do a lot of experiment and to see what is the optimum of the thickness of the circuit board, as well as what will be the sensitivity when we optimize the thickness of the circuit board. So we find that at the optimal thickness, we can improve our sensor sensitivity for 20% more when compared to the normal circuit board. So this also will improve the signal to noise ratio, and that allow us to have a better measurement and also more accurate accuracy on our measurement. Now, how to incorporate the AI in our brace treatment for scoliosis. As I mentioned in here, I only focus on one application is for the brace treatment for scoliosis. AI is the power of a machine with learned human intelligence used to perform human-like tasks. From the, we talked to a lot of those brace maker, and they always told us, in order to make the brace effective, the patient need to wear the brace properly. If they don't wear the brace properly, then you will not able to get the most efficiency from the brace treatment. So getting the information from the auditors, then we say, okay, are we able to put some machine learning algorithm that is a subset of AI so that we can control how tight the patient should wear the brace, and also what is the optimum time the patient should wear the brace. The reason is wear a brace has no fun. As you remember previously picture, the brace is a plastic shell. It restricts the body activities. It restricts the motion. Also during the summer, it is very hot. It is uncomfortable for the kid to wear during the summer. So one of the goals we also try to do is to minimize the number of the hour the patient need to wear the brace, but at the same time maximize the effectiveness of the treatment. We come with the idea about how to embed the AI into our platform so that we can optimize the treatment for the scoliosis. So we understand we need to maintain certain brace pressure during the day. So we need an IoT system locking the information, and we require the machine learning algorithm to calculate the dosage response or the model so that we can control it, and then it will optimize the outcome. Now, this is the idea that we are working on right now, is to embed that sensor inside the brace, but at the same time, we will have another system that has the airbag built inside the brace. We control the pressure at the airbag so that it will provide certain or the optimum pressure that requests from the auditors. So using this, then we can maintain the optimum pressure. And once we got more information, we will be able to tell what is the optimum time that the patient required to wear the brace. So we built the system already, a prototype system that have some pump and valve, and also we have the airbag, and at the same time we have the pressure locking the information. So we try to provide a dynamic system that can automatically adjust the pressure pushing to the body so that it will, at the end, it will be able to correct the scoliosis instead of just stop the curve progression. We are doing the clinical trial right now in Edmonton here, as well as in Hong Kong. So we hope in the near future, we will be able to answer the question, what is the optimum time and what optimum pressure using our system, dynamic system, to correct the scoliosis. So this is the concept that we put all our information into our machine learning algorithm. We have the monitoring device collecting the information, combined with the patient information, we also need to understand the patient risk, because as I mentioned, the bigger the curve, you may need to have bigger the force to holding the curve so that you have a better in-brace correction so that your brace can be more effective. And at the same time, you need to maintain that pressure. We need to know how the patient use their brace, and then we optimize these information, and then we build the decision support engine to control the pressure and then develop the model. So I don't have the result to share right now, but we are doing a clinical trial, and hopefully in the near future, we are able to share the information. And at the same time, at the end, we would like to optimize our brace treatment that the patient doesn't require to wear the brace 22 hours per day, maybe only 18 or 15 hours, and you can still get the optimum result as well. And I would like to acknowledge all the funding agency to support this research. And I'm happy to answer any question that you have. And thank you very much for your attention.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Lou. I appreciate this view. I hadn't seen this before, so fascinating work. Certainly well intended, so that's incredible. So at this stage, these are the two speakers we had, and certainly I like to thank both of them. So Vincenzo as well as Edmond for sharing their work with us today. There are a couple of questions that came in, and I guess I'm kind of looking to the galley to whether or not we could answer anything. I guess if we're running a little bit late, but is Vincenzo still on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so just real quick, there was a question.
I saw there are a couple of questions, and I can reply if I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
So one of these questions says that the question was if there is a reason why we direct right silver electrode for the bottom electrode, but we use a beam evaporation for the gold top electrodes, and why not use both silver ink? Silver ink for both the electrodes. Yes, this is a good question. So I appreciate this question, and the point is that we decided to use the silver ink just for printing the bottom electrodes because of a problem related to the working temperature of the chitosan piezoelectric film. Actually, it suffered for high temperature. So the sintering temperature of the silver electrode is about 140 degrees. So it means that using this temperature will completely destroy the chitosan film. Moreover, the chitosan film is deposited when it is still wet. So we need something that can attach to the chitosan film when it is still wet, and this is why we use the interlayer, the pDOT interlayer, that is the addition promoter between chitosan and silver ink. And then just when the chitosan film is dried, we can deposit again the top electrodes. Depositing now the top electrodes at higher temperature will destroy the device, the final device. Instead, the e-beam evaporation is at very low temperature, quite room temperature. So it is safe for the complete fabrication of our final device. So this is why we used just silver electrode for the bottom, silver paste, silver ink for the bottom electrode, and not for the top. So the second question is about the two-photon lithography process in building the microstructured electrodes along the optical fibers. Okay, I can try to reply to this question because it is not my direct topic, let's say, but for the best of my knowledge, we exploited two-photon lithography to build, expose and pattern the photoresist according to dimension of the microstructured electrodes, and we exploited this two-photon lithography because it allows to pattern photoresist also on curved surface and modified surfaces such as the ion planar surface of optical fiber. So we exploit this two-photon lithography to define on the photoresist the pattern for the metal electrodes, and then we deposited the metal electrodes that is made by gold, if I will remember. So it's just a lift-off process that allows to build these electrode on rounding surfaces. I don't know if I got the point, but this is my reply. Great.
Thank you for that. And certainly if there's other variations of that question or other questions that come in, certainly we'll provide an email that you can send those to us.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is from, so how long do you see this technology being, this is for Edmond. How long do you see this technology from being implemented? I know you're in the clinical trials now.
So we implement this technology, like the idea came in around 2018, and we doing the clinical trial since last year, but because the pandemic, we've been on and off. So so far we only have a very few patient, but hopefully because the COVID is going to be, hopefully the pandemic's gone, then we will collect patient faster. So we've been on and off for a couple years, and so far we only have 5 patients in Edmonton, but we have 10 patients recruited in Hong Kong. So
fabulous. Thanks for that answer. So I've got a question, just kind of an extension of that. Do you ever see an application that goes for being able to do some sort of a intramuscular or some type of an implant that would actually hold the spine in place after you've monitored it and know where it needs to be for the off hours, instead of having to wear the brace with pneumatics or control? And maybe that's not possible. I just don't know.
There's one patient actually able to correct the curvature. Now, because our sample size is too small, I can't make a conclusive statement. But based on the 5 patients that we have, the other 4 patients at least have the same good results. So all the curve have no progression at all. And there's one patient actually have improvement on the curvature. So it is better than the statistic from the history. It is for 5 patients, they wear the brace, 3 will stop the curve progression, and 1 will be unknown, random. So either they will improve or not improve, and 1 will be deteriorate. So according to the history, the percentage, based on the percentage. So there's 20%, 1 will be deteriorate, 70% will be corrected, or you can say 30% deteriorate, 70% will be whole. But in our study, we got 100% corrected so far. But and also we have 80% we are able to holding the curve, and 20% is get improvement. But as I mentioned, the number is too small. I can't make a conclusive statement unless we got more data. And hopefully by next year, one more year, then we will be able to answer this question better.
Fantastic. Okay, I think I don't see other questions coming up, but we'll certainly give an opportunity for anyone who would like to send in any questions after the fact. Let's see here. So this is a question, so direct message you can see. So this is a question for both of you. Expanding your research in the additive manufacturing of electronics, or AME, do you feel you have an advantage over your peers or other parallel research that's being done? Edmond, I'll go to you first.
Sure. So yes, because with the, especially we have the system in place, so we can try different configuration, different design during our research. So this advanced significantly, especially on the MEMS technology sensor that we build. We also doesn't know what will be the optimum thickness of the circuit board. So because we have the system in place, we can print difference, and then we can experiment it, and then we can understand, and we can make the all the process much faster. Then I need to manufacturing the circuit board and test one, or like that is more economic, like because we can afford it and we can build it in real time in our center, and then we can test it. Now, one thing also is because we got this system for about only a year, and our system supposed also helping the industry. So there's also some industry project, but I cannot share too much for now until I get the authority or approval from the industry to share, because we also see a lot of opportunity for industry to test their design using this technology, using the nano dimension technology to improve their development time or shorten their development time to prove the concept and get their return much faster.
Perfect, great answer. Thank you for that. Vincenzo, I'd like to kind of extend that same question to you and to close up the call, just the value add for having AME in your lab and capability compared to those that might not.
Yeah, we actually, I can say that we got a good improvement by exploiting additive manufacturing technologies and technology. And one of the main problem, or the main point we got is, an example, the ability to direct connect some devices then have limitation in contacting them. One example is the high non-planar device, like optical fiber, that is difficult to reach, especially when the device, I mean the electrodes are very small. In that case, the pads has a size, if I will remember, of about, I mean, less than 100 micrometers per side. So additive manufacturing technology allowed us to go behind some limitation, some technological limitation. So for us, for our center, is a very interesting, very good improvement of our technologies, especially in wearable technologies.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that answer. So at this point, I think we'll just close out this webinar, but I certainly want to thank our presenters. So Dr. Vincenzo Mastronardi, thank you so much for your capability in research and development. Fascinating stuff. Dr. Edmond Lou out of Alberta, I thank you as well for spending time with us today. And I think gave me an awful great appreciation for what all goes on at the micro level and the communication level at those different types of capabilities. So I will let you gentlemen say goodbye, but at this point, I think we'll terminate the webinar. So thank you all for attending. Any questions that need to come in, we'll be happy to answer as they do arrive after the chat. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks
all
so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Pleasure.
Bye.